Okay, a term that we need to know, because we're going to talk about dividing fractions next, and a term that we need to know is reciprocal, or also known as the multiplicative inverse. Okay, and all that is just a fraction flipped over. Okay, so if I said find the reciprocal of 1/3, okay, you're just going to take 1/3 and flip it over. So the denominator, the bottom number, becomes the top number, and the top number, the numerator, becomes the bottom number. Okay? So the reciprocal of 1/3 is 3/1. Or, okay, again, this should say 3/1, or 3. So it's that fraction flipped upside down. Okay? If we wanted to find the reciprocal of, say, 3. Well, we can't find a reciprocal unless it's a fraction, because it says it's a fraction flipped over. So the first thing is I have to take 3 and make it 3/1. Now I'm going to take that number and flip it over. So my denominator becomes my new numerator, and my numerator becomes my denominator. So the reciprocal of 3 is 1/3. Okay, so again, it's a fraction flipped over. It's called the reciprocal or the multiplicative inverse. Now, to help you remember what reciprocal means, there's a term that I like to call it. Oops. Okay, and I like to call it and we're going to put the reciprocal, is also known as the reciprocal. Okay? The reason why I like that, also known as, aka means also known as, so the reciprocal I also call the reciprocal, because it helps me remember that I need to take the number that I started with and flip it over. Take the number I started with and flip it over. Okay? So reciprocal or reciprocal. That helps you remember. Alright, let's talk about some dividing of fractions now. Okay, objective 2 is to divide fractions. So we got a few different questions here. Okay? First question, A, says, what is the reciprocal of 5/6? So I'm going to take 5/6, and to write the reciprocal, I need to flip it over. So the bottom becomes the top, and the top becomes the bottom. 6/5. Alright? And for part B, says, what is the multiplicative inverse of 3? Well, the first thing I need to do is take 3 and write it as a fraction, and we already did this problem. Now I need to flip it over, so the denominator becomes the numerator, and the numerator becomes the denominator. So it's 1/3. Okay? Part C says, how many 1/4 are in 1? Okay? How many 1/4 are in 1? Well, if I asked you how many 4s were in 2, or sorry, how many 2s were in 4, okay, you would take 4 divided by 2. So how many 2s are in 4, you would take 4 divided by 2. So here, I have to take 1 divided by 1/4 to get this answer. Okay? This brings us to steps for dividing fractions. Okay? Well, actually, the first step to dividing fractions is to make sure we've got fractions. So 1 needs to be changed to 1/1. Divided by 1/4. Okay? Step 1 says to change the division sign to multiplication. So now I'm going to have 1/1. I'm going to change it to a multiplying problem. And step 2 says I'm going to change the second number to its reciprocal. So I'm going to change this second number to the reciprocal of 1/4, which is 4/1. So basically what we're saying is 1 divided by 1/4 is the same as 1 times its reciprocal, 4. And then we just multiply the numbers. Well, 1 times 4 on the top gives us 4. 1 over 1 gives us 1, or just 4. Okay? And those are our steps, to dividing fractions. Well, let's do part D now. D says how many 2/3 are in 1. So this means I want to do 1 divided by 2/3. So again, I'm going to change the problem, so it's 1 over 1 divided by 2/3. Change the division sign to multiplication, so I keep 1 over 1 the same. Change division to multiply. Change the second number to its reciprocal, or reciprocal, flip it over. And then multiply the numbers. On top, 1 times 3 is 3. And on bottom, 1 times 2 is 2. Well, I could leave it as 3/2 if you really wanted to. You could change it to 1.5. Either one of these two answers is perfectly acceptable in Mr. Ayers' book. Okay, let's talk more about dividing fractions. Okay, example 4 says a quart is 1/4 of a gallon and a pint is 1/8 of a gallon. So we want to know how many 1/8 are there in 1/4. Or they're asking you, okay, if it's how many 1/8 are in 1/4, they're asking us how many pints are there in a gallon. Okay? Well, basically what we need to do is how many 1/8 are in 1/4. That means they want to know what is 1/4 divided by 1/8. Okay? So again, we're dividing fractions. So the first thing I do is make sure they're written as fractions, and they both already are. So now the first number stays the same. We change the divided sign to a multiply. And we take the second number and make it its reciprocal or reciprocal. Okay? Well, I'm just going to do the first method here. Doesn't matter. I could cross simplify first, or I could do the first method where I just take the tops and multiply them and get 8 on top. And on the bottom, I take 4 times 1 and get 4. Then, 8 divided by 4 is what this says. That is just 2. Okay? I'm actually going to put some equal signs in between here. Okay? Well, remember how Mr. Ayers called multiplication fun because it was so easy? Well, then what about division? Okay? Well, if multiplication is fun, we did fun right here. But what we have to do first, we had to flip this number. So we flipped this, and then we had fun. So our division problem, we flipped and had fun. We flipped and had fun. So to Mr. Ayers, division is flippin' fun. Okay? Because you flip the second number first, and then you have fun. You multiply. Okay? So division is flippin' fun. Multiplication is fun, and when we divide, we're going to have some flippin' fun. Alright? So let's have some more flippin' fun. I got another flippin' fun example for you right here. 3/4 divided by 1/3. Okay? So 3/4 divided by 1/3. Well, they're both written as fractions. Okay? So we're going to rewrite this. 3/4. Change it to a multiply. And now we're going to flip the second number, 3 over 1. And now that we flipped this number, now we can have fun. Now we can multiply. So flippin' fun. Let's go ahead and multiply these. If I wanted to do the second method here, I could see if these cross cancel, but 3 and 1 don't simplify, and neither do 3 and 4. So there's no cross canceling, so I have to just multiply these. 3 times 3 is 9 on top, over 4 on the bottom. 9 over 4 is simplified, or I could make it a mixed number. I would do that by taking 9 divided by 4, and that goes in there twice, with 1 left over, so it's 2 and 1/4. You don't have to have both answers, but you have to pick one. Okay? So, flippin' fun. Alright, go to your assignment, have some fun multiplying and some flippin' fun dividing.